Let's look at an example. So I've got a right triangle, and let's say this angle down here is 19 degrees. And I don't know what this side is, but I know the hypotenuse here is 25. Okay? And the problem might ask you to find x. So what does this mean? Well, I'm going to use a trigonometric ratio. I'm going to set up an equation and I'm going to solve it. So how do I set it up? Well, I think you need to label the side that you know you're given. That's the 25, that's the hypotenuse. Label the side that you're trying to find. That's x. Is that the adjacent leg or the opposite leg? Well, that leg touches the 19-degree angle, so that makes it the adjacent leg. Okay, now this side up here is the opposite leg, but in this particular problem, I'm not trying to find the opposite leg. I don't know the opposite leg. It doesn't really have anything to do with it. In later problems, we may talk about solving the triangle, where I want to find all of the missing measures. But right now, we're just looking for one missing measure. So which ratio involves adjacent and hypotenuse? Hopefully you can recognize quickly that's the cosine ratio. Cosine of a 19-degree angle is equal to x over 25. Now from here, you need to think about how to solve. Well, remember, cosine of 19 is just a ratio. It's just some decimal, and the calculator knows what cosine of 19 is. Yeah, I can type that in and get some decimal. And if you're working on trigonometry, hopefully you've got enough algebra skills that you could round that to 4 decimals, 0.9455. Set that equal to x over 25. And hopefully we can solve that equation for x. I'm just going to multiply both sides by 25. If it helps you, you can put it over this left-hand side over 1 and cross-multiply. Yeah, but I'm assuming that everyone watching this has the algebra skills to solve for x. What we might learn is that we're going to have a lot of these equations where x is the numerator as we're setting these up and solving them. So you might just kind of get the pattern that if your variable is in the numerator, what you can type in the calculator is just 25 cosine 19 and get your answer in one step. So x is approximately 23.6. All right, we'll do another example. Let's say this angle is 53 degrees. This side is 11, and I'm trying to find that side. And of course, you're given it's a right triangle. Again, I want to identify the sides. Okay, this is the leg opposite the 55-degree angle. Again, always make sure you know what your frame of reference is. This is what I'm talking about when I say opposite. What's opposite that angle? X is the adjacent leg, and the other side is the hypotenuse, but I don't know the hypotenuse and I'm not trying to find the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use the tangent ratio. Tangent of a 53-degree angle equals opposite over adjacent. Now again, I could type tangent of 53 in the calculator, get a decimal, and I would hope that anyone watching this has the algebra skills that they could solve this equation if need be. Okay. And I might put this over 1, cross multiply, solve for x. Again though, you're going to hopefully learn a pattern. If you do enough of these, you'll realize that if x, or your variable I should say, is in the denominator, you're going to end up doing the numerator divided by your trig ratio when you type it into the calculator. So again, that's just a pattern that you might learn to make things a little quicker, so you don't have to go through the solving process every single time. So x is approximately 8.3. I'll do one more example. So you're given a right triangle. I'm trying to find the angle this time. And I know that, let's say this side is 6 and that side is 13. So this problem is different. I know two sides and I'm trying to find the angle. Still, if I'm trying to find this angle, let's label things in reference to that. 13 is the hypotenuse. Doesn't matter which angle I'm talking about, 13 is going to be the hypotenuse. But 6 is opposite that angle, it's x degrees, opposite the angle I'm trying to find. So 6 is the opposite leg. Down here, this side is the adjacent leg, but I don't know the adjacent leg. I'm not trying to find the adjacent leg, so it's not really relevant. So ask yourself, which ratio involves opposite and hypotenuse? Well, that's the sine ratio. So what's my angle? Well, I don't know my angle. Sine of x equals 6 over 13. This case is a little different. In trigonometry, we call this sometimes the arc sine or inverse sine function. I want to know what angle has a sine ratio of 6 over 13. So you can input this into the calculator a little bit differently. It varies from calculator to calculator, but essentially you want arc sine or sine -1 to pop up on your calculator. That's what you're looking for. So hopefully you can find that feature in your calculator. And this is going to allow me to input the ratio and get the angle out as a result. So sine of a 27-degree angle equals 6 out of 13. To help you understand the two directions we're going in, if I hit or type into the calculator sine of 27.486, and I'll go to 4. It doesn't really matter how far out I go. I think you guys will get the idea. I'm going to get this decimal. Well, that's going to be pretty close to 6/13. So I don't know if that helps you guys understand kind of what's happening there. There's two directions. You can input the ratio or you can input the angle. Okay? So make sure you know when to hit the sine button and when to hit the arc sine button on your calculator. But anyways, in this case, the angle was about 27.4 degrees. Hope that helps you understand right triangle trig.